Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Sunday Stock Watch. Series I post every Sunday where I let you guys know what stocks I'm personally keeping an eye on going into the trading week. Definitely an eventful one ahead of us. So, as always, we'll go over each topic that we're going to be discussing. Then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, TradingView do have a few charts that I want to look over with you guys today. Obviously, having to do with some of the articles we're covering, but we will kick it off with S&P 500, good old S&P. We will touch on some of the equity indices. I'll just let you guys know what I'm thinking about the general equity markets overall moving into this week. To complement that, we will take a quick look at futures. So S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow, all in the green, all looking very promising right now. I don't personally put a whole lot of weight on futures on Sundays, to be honest, and I honestly don't think that this will continue through the rest of the week. I actually don't know if it'll continue through Monday even. I will explain why that is later on in the video, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Moving on, it's some exciting news in terms of IPOs. A lot of exciting IPOs coming. I will make a video in the future covering more specifically, diving more into the Snowflake IPO, into the Unity IPO, the JFrog IPO. There's some exciting ones coming up, but today we will just quickly touch on Snowflake. So Snowflake IPO gets vote of confidence as Berkshire Salesforce agree to buy shares. All right, so we'll quickly touch on this. We're not exactly sure when Snowflake will IPO. I'll just throw that out there right now. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that, but just put it on your radar. So keep an eye out for this. This is probably one of the hottest, most hyped IPOs that's been around in a minute. Okay, so we will touch on that. Then moving on to some big acquisition news. Gilead to buy cancer drug maker Immunomedics in $21 billion deal. That's a solid chunk of change right there. Okay, so a lot of acquisitions. We will talk about this one. This one's in the biotech sector, pretty exciting. Then we will move on to tech. So Nvidia nears a deal to buy ARM from SoftBank for about $40 billion. A lot of bees floating around here. Okay, so big deals, big week for acquisitions. This is huge, so we'll dive into this. Staying on SoftBank. So SoftBank, if you guys watched the video I posted, sometime last week, talking about how SoftBank's derivatives trading, so futures trading, options trading, is really one of the big catalysts that led specifically the tech sector to rally so hard over the past couple months. Okay, so they are the white whale in the options market. They are a big player. They are like, when I talk about institutional investors and how they manipulate the market and how they really dictate the overall movement of the equity markets, SoftBank is like the epitome of that whale of the markets. Okay, so we will dive into this. The tech sell-off last week really hurt SoftBank, and I want to explain to you guys just quickly using this to segue into this. So big tech needs more time to work off major excesses, top money manager Jeff Mills warns. Okay, so this guy isn't too on the radar, like he's pretty low-key, but I definitely agree with some of the things that he said in this, and I just want to highlight a few points that he mentioned in this article, talking about why I personally believe, him as well, I think there are many people who believe this right now, but why many people are thinking that tech it could see a little bit more of a sell-off prior to moving up further. All right, so we will touch on this. We will then touch on futures once again. There's just some more things in this Bloomberg article that I want to touch on with you guys. Again, futures up as we just saw, but there's also 5 key things happening next week that I want to cover with you guys, and just let you guys know why I feel these are important and why they're objectively important. Otherwise, Bloomberg wouldn't have mentioned it in their article. Okay. That's that. We will then finish off with ByteDance tells US it won't sell TikTok's algorithm. Moving on to some TikTok news. This is important because this week, September 15th was the initial deadline. That is the deadline for TikTok to have to at least announce a sale, at least announce a plan with a US entity that is looking to buy the company. So in terms of stocks to keep an eye on, it's ORCL, who's one of the viable buyers of TikTok in the US, and Microsoft and Walmart. Okay, so I've said many times before, I'll say it again, I think Walmart is one of the most undervalued stocks in this market right now. It's doing such good numbers right now, and it's still, I mean, Tesla at one point recently, before that huge correction, maybe still even, was worth more than Walmart. So it's definitely close. The fact that Tesla and Walmart are about worth the same right now is insane. It really speaks to the current status, the current state of the market environment. But if Walmart and Microsoft are able to close this deal, I mean, keep a close eye on Microsoft, but Walmart specifically. I'm not trading it personally. I'll just say that right off the bat. But if they can nab the deal, I would definitely say, even more so than Microsoft, keep an eye on Walmart. All right, so that's that. As always, before we do dive into each topic deeper, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're investing in any of the companies we're talking about today. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter, first link in the description. If you're interested in my exact positions, all call options, all put options, stock positions, cryptos if you're into it, and just want to know how I'm currently trading this market on a day-to-day basis, and receive a real-time email newsletter from me every trading day during market hours, rationalizing my trades, and just giving you guys my thoughts on the overall markets in general. All right, so check that out if you're interested. If not, no worries. That said, let's get into this. So I've had this chart up for a while, okay, and I have been expecting ever since the SPX, and keep in mind, you guys, we're not going to look at the Dow, the Nasdaq right now. Keep in mind, this is a similar pattern on all of these, okay? So the S&P 500 did technically break this line of support right here last week when we saw that rally, and it is now successfully using, as you can see here, this line of support. It has bounced off that, which tells me that it is using that line as a line of resistance. Unless we can see the S&P significantly break above and actually close above this line, then I do believe that we're still in a downtrend, and I do believe we will ultimately, over the course of the next week or two. And again, you guys, there are definitely some technical factors fundamental factors that we will get into in that Bloomberg article near the end that talk about why I think by the end of this week we could see a significant pullback in the equity markets. Again, although futures are up, which does look promising, I'm still pretty sketched out about the market this week. Okay, so ultimately, I do feel that by the end of this week, definitely by the end of next week, I should say, maybe by the end of this week. I don't know, you guys. I don't know anything for certain, but I'm feeling by the end of this week we will see a pullback at least to the 3,200 region, to this line, to this previous high on the S&P. Okay, so that said, I am bearish on the equity markets moving into this week. I'll just get that out of the way right now. That said, let's move on to this. So Snowflake IPO gets a vote of confidence as Berkshire, Salesforce agree to buy shares. Salesforce and Berkshire Hathaway each agreed to purchase $250 million worth of Snowflake stock concurrent with its IPO. Snowflake is expected to go public later this year. So again, you guys, Snowflake, it's been everywhere. It feels like they're going to IPO like right now, like tomorrow, as soon as the market's open, just because of all the hype that's been around it. Don't know exactly when Snowflake's going to IPO. So, I mean, arguably shouldn't be in a stocks to watch this week video, but keep an eye out, guys. They are supposed to IPO very soon, so just stay on your toes with this one. Again, I will make more videos surrounding the Snowflake, the JFrog, the Unity IPOs, because those are some exciting IPOs coming up, and I just want to give you guys my thoughts on some of those. But keep your guys' eyes out. Do all the research you can. Always do your own research. Always do your own due diligence. I just want to turn you on to some of these concepts if you're not on them already. All right, moving on. Gilead to buy cancer drug maker Immunomedics in $21 billion deal. Again, these are some big price tags. Gilead said it will acquire Immunomedics for $88 per share in cash. The offer will be funded through about $15 billion in cash and on hand, and $6 billion in newly issued debt. The transaction is anticipated to close in the fourth quarter of 2020. The deal will provide Gilead access to Immunomedics' cancer drug treatment called Trodelvy. Man, these pharmaceutical names are tough. Trodelvy is an FDA-approved treatment for metastatic triple-negative breast cancer. Okay, so this is a huge deal. And sometimes when you're talking acquisitions, so we'll talk about this in the Nvidia SoftBank acquisition as well. Sometimes with acquisitions, you don't really know how they're going to play out. It really does have to do with the greater market environment. So because Gilead is forking over $15 billion in cash, that gives me the impression. So it's not an all-stock deal. If it was an all-stock deal, that would be different. So because they're actually exiting cash from their balance sheet in order to acquire this company, that makes me think that Gilead might see some red. So we'll take a look at Gilead. This is the first chart that we are going to look at today. Gilead. So Gilead has actually been just not doing too hot at all. You can see here, even since like the March sell-off didn't do much of this. So this is starting at the beginning of 2020. We saw a high at Gilead at around $85. It's currently floating at 65 with a low of 60. So it's pretty much at all-time lows. And even if we zoom out to the 5-year, you guys, you can see here, Gilead has really spent a lot of time around the $60 to $65 level over the course of the past few years. It has bumped up a few times to the $85 level, which it did earlier this year. But other than that, you guys, Gilead has really seen not been seeing love. The market cap of Gilead is pretty significant, you guys, which is important to keep in mind. So, I mean, you have to have a solid market cap in order to just fork up $15 billion cash. $82 billion market cap. So they forked over a decent percentage, like 15% of their overall market cap in cash for this company, which is, I mean, I think this is a great long-term play. Obviously, if Gilead is doing this, there's probably a reason behind the scenes that's maybe not public facing, that they did this, that they executed this deal. But I think personally, just intuitively, again, because it's cash and not an all stock deal, I think this will probably be bad news for Gilead. I don't know what to say here in terms of technicals, because it is already floating around, like, I can see it coming down to 60 just because it's spent so much time around the $60 region over the, it's like it went pretty much sideways here for a really long time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some red in Gilead. How much, I don't know, but I'll just be cautious if you're looking into trying to play this, okay? And again, you guys remember, I could always be wrong. This thing could shoot up, but again, because they're just exiting cash from their balance sheet, that sketches me out, and that does not make me want to invest in Gilead as a company. Immunomedics, on the other hand, what was the name? I feel like I just got it wrong. Immunomedics, okay, not immunogenics, Immunomedics. Okay, so Immunomedics, on the other hand, you can see here they've been seeing some love, especially since these March lows. So where were they? So the March lows, which you really can't take into account, I think this is more realistic. Where were they at the beginning of this year? So the beginning of 2020, they were floating around $20. They've currently 2x since then, so over 100% increase in Immunomedics since. They're currently floating at over $42. Their market cap is currently sitting at $9.6 billion. So it got acquired for over 15. Like, that's crazy. What was the full price tag? $21 billion? Man, that's crazy. Okay, so Immunomedics, I mean, agreed to buy them at $88 per share, I believe. Is that what it said? $88 per share in cash. Wow. Okay, so this thing is going to at least 2x as soon as the market opens, which is insane. So if you're holding Immunomedics right now, congratulations. I don't know what. So likely, because there's going to be so much hype behind it, it's probably going to pop up beyond $88 per share. I wouldn't be surprised if this pops to like $90, $95, maybe even $100 per share. Who knows? But I mean, just because this was what happens when a company gets acquired a lot. You see the hype. Obviously, there's a hype around it. Understandably so, rightfully so. It'll pop up, move up. I mean, again, $88 per share. This thing's going to at least 2x to at least that price point. I would assume, maybe even once again to 100. It can go as high as 100. I don't know, but at that point, I would look for a pullback just because the hype will inevitably die at some point. On the pullback, maybe if it pulls back down to like 80 or something, just get some of the weak hands out of there. It might be worth looking into around the $80 level. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Again, it's a little too late for this one, you guys, but if you are holding Immunomedics prior to this acquisition announcement, then congratulations to you. Moving on. Nvidia near deal to buy ARM from SoftBank for about $40 billion. Price being discussed is about $40 billion in cash and stock. Transaction could be announced as early as next week. So Nvidia, I mean, one of the boss dog chip makers, they supply so many of the chips that operate in so many operating systems around the world. Nvidia, I mean, I would say they're the kingpin, okay? AMD is catching up quick, but Nvidia is definitely the kingpin within the chip maker sector. Nvidia Corp is nearing a deal to acquire SoftBank Group's Corp's chip maker ARM Ltd. ARM Limited. According to the people familiar with the matter, an acquisition that would extend its reach into mobile devices. A transaction could be announced as soon as next week. No deal has yet been reached, and talks may still fall apart. So keep that in mind, you guys. Be careful not to fall for the hype with this one. And again, you guys, this seems legit because SoftBank has been such a sketchy. Like, I used to be a huge fan of SoftBank, to be honest. So this is Masa-san. This is a Japanese tech investment giant, which we will talk about a little more in this next article. But I mean, this dude is a legend in venture capital and just even like the public markets. Like, he's been trading the public markets lately. So SoftBank, a true titan of industry within the investment landscape. It makes sense due to the fact they've been seeing a real hard time lately. If you guys don't know, they own such a huge amount of WeWork company. So WeWork, they rented office space. They leased out office spaces pretty much to kind of entrepreneurs, smaller companies. And that business pretty much completely fell apart and imploded on itself. All right, so SoftBank, along with some other very shady investments. I'm not going to get too into it now, but you guys can go do some digging if you want. It's super interesting story, just everything surrounding SoftBank. So it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to get rid of this of ARM and just get some cash on their balance sheet, because again, they did lose a decent amount in this recent tech sell-off, which we will hit right now. So SoftBank sell-off hit $17 billion after tech exposure fears grow. SoftBank Group Corp slid as much as 7.1% Wednesday, taking losses to about 14% this week after the Japanese conglomerate made substantial bets on equity derivatives and tech stocks before a broad sector sell-off. Okay, so this is important because, once again, you guys, if you did watch that video where I covered the options whale, the options whale that is SoftBank, really manipulating derivatives within the market and causing so much of the market to explode over the recent couple months, the past few months. Okay, so moving on from that, I actually wanted to show you guys this right now. So here are some key events coming up this week, because this does kind of fall into the options field and options categories, which is the primary thing this week that I believe will impact the markets. Okay, so I'll just read this right now. Friday sees quadruple witching for U.S. stock markets when the quarterly expiration of futures and options on indexes and stocks happens on the same day. So this happens on the third Friday of every, I believe it's December, June, September, etc. Okay, so it's when the quarterly options expire. Everything pretty much expires. Everything comes together to expire on that day, which is September 18th this week, which is super sketchy, okay? Because that implies extremely increased volatility within a landscape that's already extremely volatile and uncertain. Okay, there's a lot of, man, I really don't want to get into the intricacies of options right now, but pretty much a lot of people are going to have to cover calls, cover puts, and that leads to increased volatility within stocks, individual share prices. Okay, so that is super sketchy. And again, with SoftBank still inevitably holding a good amount of options contracts, I imagine many large institutional players are still holding options contracts. It's not only retail traders right now, but it is large institutions that are trading derivatives and options and whatnot. So just be careful there, you guys. That's the primary event. That leads me to believe that by the end of the week, we will see some blood in the water in the markets. While we're here, let's just look at some of these other ones. So China industrial production and retail sales data is due on Tuesday. Wednesday sees the FOMC policy decision and news conference from Chair Jerome Powell. Bank of Japan, Bank Indonesia, and Bank of England policy decisions come Thursday. Okay, so there's just a lot of things happening this week on top of the acquisitions, on top of potential IPOs. There's just a lot of just macroeconomic things going on this week, okay? So that said, we will take a look quick, because I just realized I forgot to look at this while we were touching on NVIDIA. Take a look at NVIDIA's chart. Okay, so this is the thing that I'm a little, this is what makes me believe that we could see a significant correction in NVIDIA, because although chip makers, obviously tech, everything, this pandemic has just expedited all trends that were inevitably going to happen already. So it makes sense that tech has seen such progress and such a crazy rally since the March lows. But what's NVIDIA's market cap at right now? So NVIDIA is at a $300 billion market cap, which is insane. I remember when I was because I traded NVIDIA a lot back in like 2018ish, and it was around like $100 billion market cap. So it makes sense. Everything is trending more digital. It makes sense that NVIDIA, as a chip maker, is one of the largest chip makers in the world, is doing extremely well in an economy where everyone's just staying home. Everyone's increasingly using digital devices and goods. But this is, just looking at this, it just looks like a bubble to me. Like, so much of the tech sector right now, it just looks so bubbly. You see such parabolic movement since these March lows. Actually, okay, so these were the March lows. The March lows came up to this area, was floating around in 2019. So from a technical perspective, it is following some technical guidelines. But I can't rationalize investing in NVIDIA right now, especially once again, because if they are investing in ARM, if they are acquiring ARM for $40 billion, cash and stock, so at least they have some stock in there. It's not all cash. But again, whenever you're liquidating some of your balance sheet for, like, if you're exchanging some of the liquid you have, some cash in hand from your balance sheet to acquire a company, I just think that's bad news for a stock. Just because, again, especially in this economy where everything is so uncertain, you want cash on your balance sheet. It sketches me out that they're doing this, and I personally would bet that NVIDIA, after the announcement of this deal, especially if it falls through, it will probably be detrimental for its share price. And again, just looking at this just intuitively, I feel like this has to correct at some point. If we do see a correction, it would make sense. As always, you guys, TA 101 once again to come up to its previous highs. So maybe not its March highs, just because the fundamentals again surrounding Nvidia are extremely strong, but it would make sense for it to come around here. It spent a few weeks around here in May, June, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a pullback in Nvidia to about $350 if the rest of the tech sector does sell off as well. Okay, so speaking of the tech sector, let's move into this one and then we'll finish off with TikTok, okay? So big tech needs more time to work off major excesses, top money manager Jeff Mill warns. Big tech's record win streak may just be on hiatus. Byron Mars, it's a tough one as well. Jeff Mills believes the group will regain its market leadership. But before it does, he warns investors will have to brace for some more wild swings as the group works off major excesses. And I just want to read you guys a quote here. Technology remains 15% above that 200-day moving average, Mills said. So I would wait a little bit for more downside before dipping my toes into tech. So again, you guys, the fundamentals surrounding tech are still extremely strong. And it makes sense. It makes sense from kind of a game theory perspective that we've seen tech run up so much, okay? Especially with all the new retail investors in this market. You want to invest in exciting things, exciting sectors. That's what tech is right now. Tech is the hot sector. But it's just so overinflated right now. It's just so it's not anymore since its recent sell-off and overbought territory, but usually when you exit that overbought territory, so you can see here, like Nvidia is a great example. You can see here since then it dipped down out of the bullish control zone. So I think that we will likely see a test back down again to previous highs. It just makes sense. You can see it's significantly above even like the 21 and 47 EMAs. I don't have the 200 EMA or the 200-day moving average on here right now, or 200 exponential moving average, but it's way above that. So if it's above the 21 and 47, so pretty much 2050, I just changed mine up a little bit just because I feel like that gives me a slight edge. Everyone's looking at 20, everyone's looking at 50. I got to change them up a little bit, but I mean, you guys, everything just tech is just so overinflated right now, and I just think that it would make sense to see more of a correction in the tech sector. If you guys are long tech, that's perfectly fine. If you're not a seller at these levels, that's perfectly fine. But if you're thinking about buying right now, I would just make a word of caution to probably just wait a little bit, just play it. There's no shame in just sitting on the sidelines for a little bit and chilling. There's no shame in not doing anything. Okay, never force trades. All right. So that said, let's move on to TikTok and we'll close it out. So again, ByteDance tells the US it won't sell TikTok's algorithm. TikTok's algorithm is honestly what makes TikTok such a great app. That is the primary driver of its success, is because I don't use TikTok personally, but I mean TikTok, I've seen it in action. The algorithm is amazing. The For You page and whatnot it's so brilliantly built, and that is the primary driver of its success. And it makes sense that that's why China is a little reserved over giving the US that specific algorithm. Okay, so I just want to read you guys this tweet pretty much. So separately, Fox reporter Charles Gasparino tweeted on Sunday that any TikTok deal would probably require negotiations between the US government and the Chinese counterpart to succeed. Execs of TikTok say the sale of US operations now faces just one roadblock: China, which is bulking at a sale to either Microsoft or Oracle. The White House is prepared to approve any deal, but the sale, if it occurs, will likely be negotiated by U.S.-China government. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, you guys, I pretty much got my entire point across in the beginning. Just keep an eye on Microsoft. Keep an eye on Walmart. Keep an eye on Oracle. Oracle just beat earnings last week, so Oracle might be kind of turning the page. Oracle was kind of a legacy company that a lot of people thought was on the decline, but they just announced profitability last week. Things are turning up for Oracle. I personally don't think Oracle is going to get this. I think it makes so much more sense for reasons I've mentioned in the past. The Microsoft and Walmart are the ones that TikTok chooses to go with, that the US would like to go with. I mean, Microsoft and Walmart, two pillars of US industry, of US tech, of US innovation and evolution. It just makes so much sense for them to acquire the US arm of TikTok as opposed to Oracle in my mind. Or this is good press for Oracle. So I think I see personally some upside in Oracle. Again, I'm not trading any of these personally. I don't usually trade large caps like this. That's just me. But I would definitely say, again, you guys, just keep an eye on Microsoft, keep an eye on Walmart specifically. More so Walmart than Microsoft or Oracle. Keep an eye on all three though, because there's definitely some, if they do announce a deal, and again, the deal deadline is coming up this week, we're definitely going to see some volatility in these stocks. Okay, so keep an eye on those guys. And I think we'll call it there, guys. Sorry that one was a little all over the place. There's a lot to cover this week, but Again, you guys, please feel free to drop a comment below if there was anything that you believe I missed, if there's anything that you're looking forward to this week, if there's anything that you'd like me to talk about in future videos over the course of this week, okay? So always love talking to you guys, love talking shop, love learning from you guys, and look forward to talking to you downstairs. Once again, if you want to know exactly how I'm personally trading this market, complete portfolio, daily newsletter, first thing in the description. And yeah, guys, I think we'll call it there. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.